preparation time has expired. Welcome to the educating test debate for the JPDU Spring Tournament 2016. On the motion that this House elect judges, I'd like to call the Prime Minister to open the debate. Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, judges are the representative of the justice. So this debate is ultimately about who and what should be the representative of justice. And we think in order to represent the justice, we need the citizen's voice. And so based on that, I will give you the three arguments. First argument is, what is justice in the first place, and why we need a civic voice in order to represent the justice itself. And secondly, I will talk about why on the opposition paradigm, the justice is likely to be far from justice. And thirdly, I will talk about why on the side of the house, why judges become more likely to represent justice more effectively. So, but before that, let me define our model. So I have four models. First model is that also on the side of the house, the law exam is also continue to exist. So in order to get the license of the judges have to pass the law exam. And second model is that we will introduce the payout civil election, which is the same system as the election for the member of the parliament also, and that election will be done every 4 years. And third model is that the target of this election is all judges, not only the Supreme Court, but also the civil court or those kind of things. And fourth model is that regardless of the existing of the jury system, we will introduce this motion. But especially we are talking about especially for a country where jury system is not existing, because in those countries the judges have almost all power to decide the amount of the punishment or the sentences. So that is our model. So let me move on to my first argument about what is the justice in the first place and why we need civil voice to present that. So we think that justice is a rule of a society to make our society the better place and make our society which is more suitable for the majority of our citizens. So we think that justice is always changing because the people's perception against the controversial thing like abortion or those kind of things is always changing, an ongoing notion. So, but we think on the side of the law system is not perfect, and law system is not perfect to catch up with the current situation. So in that cases, the social role is we think that in order to represent the justice, social role should be supported by both the law system, but also by the judges who represent that. So if the law system, if the law system is not good one and not reflect the current citizen's voice, the judges have to make up for that deficiency of the law system. And judges should use both the citizen's voice and law system and consider the both things and interpret the justice, and they have to represent the justice. So no thank you. And we think so, but unfortunately, under status quo, the judges are only submit to the law system and they ignore the citizen's voice. In that case, what is problematic? So firstly, we think the half part of the social rule, the justice, is lost. Because as I said, the justice is composed both the law system and also by the citizen's voice, but the citizen's voice is lost. So the half part of the social rule is lost. No thank you. And the second problem is that absoluteness of the social rule is also undermined because we think the power of the social rule is stemming from the voice of the citizens, but law system is ignoring the citizen's voice, and law system is making the world into the world where people don't want to live and people don't support. In that case, that world is unjust and justice become injustice. We think that is problem, and in order to make that injustice the justice, we have to reflect more citizens' voice and take into consideration. So before moving on, okay?
About the definition of justice, if the citizens feel uncomfortable for the gay couples, do you feel gay couples is injustice?
We do not think so, but if the majority of the citizens or most citizens is one that is injustice, we think that should be reflected on the law system. So let me move on to my second argument. Why judges are likely to be far from the justice on the opposition party? We think so. The reason why they stick to the law system is that they think the law system is absolute one, and they think that they have to follow the law system, current law system, perfectly, because they think that if they ignore or if they fail to interpret lightly the law system, they think they will be criticized. So in that case, they think the law system is the most important thing for them, and they will likely to stick to the law system. And the analysis is that the world where the majority of citizens are liberal, in that case, the judges are likely to be conservative. Why? Because the exam of the law or the exam of the law system is created in the past, and that system is created in the past, and that is already conservative, and they are studying for that test, and they are internalize that value. In that case, they are submit to the past value. So in that occasion, even if the citizens are liberal, they tend to be conservative. So that even if the majority citizens support abortion or the gay couple in the country where abortion or the gay marriage is illegal, judges will say that is illegal, even if the citizens want that legal. But so because they think the law, they have to follow the law, and they think the citizens' voice is less important compared with the law system. That is problem. In their parliament, the social justice is ignored, and so that will be more and more of antiquated version of the justice. So let me move on to my third argument about why, on the side of the House, judges become more likely to represent justice. As I explained, in order to represent justice, the citizens' voice is also necessary. But on the side of the House, election is done. So through election, they think that not only the law system, but also the citizens' voice is important. So they have more incentive to reflect and listen to the citizens' voice. And we also think that through the election, we think debate will happen, and through the debate, a lot of things will be discussed. In that occasion, the extreme conservative person or those kind of person will be scrutinized by through debate and through the check of the citizens. In those circumstances, judges will more flexible, and judges will more likely to represent the justice existing in our society. So that they will consider both the voice and law system, and they will make the law system more suitable to our society. That is better for our society. So for all reasons, we strongly support this motion. Thank you.
I thank the Prime Minister. Now let's go to the legal option to open the option case. Here.
Mr. Speaker, when Supreme Court in America approved gay marriage in America, we believe that was justice, because even if it ignored the majoritarian views, it prioritized the minorities' right to become married. We believe this is the case where judges are independent from the majority and actually reflected the clear minorities' right, Mr. Speaker. We believe that these judges should be independent from the majorities and independent and neutral, and that's why we stand on the opposition side. So first of all, let me talk about the model we stand for. We will impose the model that America actually did. So first, the legislation will approve the people in the Supreme Court, and the people in Supreme Court are in the Supreme Court for all of their lives. So there will be tenure. It will be a tenure job, and the people in the local court will be appointed by the people in the social court, Supreme Court. So before moving on to my argument, I have one rebuttal on the previous speaker. So he said that the people in judges stick to the law that is existing, and that's why it is so harmful. Mr. Speaker, we don't think that is true, because we believe actually the people in the people in the Supreme Court are the actors who care about the majorities people's right, but also the minorities people's right, and they can actually compare these kind of rights. We believe in that cases, in many kind of cases, the Supreme Court actually changes the law in order to protect these people's minority rights or majorities rights or whatever. And I will talk about how that could happen in our paradigm. But what they have said, being stick to the law, that is just not factually true. So, no, thank you. So today I have three arguments to talk about. Firstly, how judges and justice should be. Secondly, how public opinion can go wrong and how that affects the elections. And lastly, why judges can choose the best way to our paradigm. Okay.
Alright, even in this state, the Supreme Court of the United States, there are some conservative judges and liberal judges. It was well described in the media, for example. How your paradigm ensures the equality into the decision-making process in the first place?
So we believe, because there are some liberals and some conservatives, there are actually debate in the court that could consequently compare the rights of the minorities and majorities. That's the paradigm we're supporting. So firstly, how the judges and justice should be. So we believe they should be separated from the majority and should be independent from the majority, public opinion. So why is that? Firstly, because the public opinion can go wrong, and that I'll explain in my second argument. But secondly, we believe because the legislation and the parliament is actually approved by the majorities, and we believe in order to balance out or stop the majorities, then there must be a power who can stop this majority, and we believe that should be the judge, and that should be the court. So that's why we believe, in order to stop this majority from going wrong, we need this kind of power. So second argument. So how the public opinion can go wrong and how that affects the election. We believe in two ways it can go wrong. Firstly, the sometimes majoritarian view extremely harms the minority. For example, in the case of gay marriage, because majority hates the gay people, it extremely harms the gay people, and that's why those people cannot get married. Or because the majority of people think that the abortion is legitimate and females should be the prioritized. Because of that, the babies are actually extremely harmed and and killed, and because the babies are vulnerable and cannot voice out, the majority of people who think that the female right to get the abortion is bad. So we believe because most of the time, majority's opinion can influence the legislation and can influence the parliament more. We believe the minorities who cannot voice out much cannot win in the election. And secondly, we believe the majorities can be persuaded in the chaos sometimes persuaded by the chaos, right? We believe, for example, by fear or things like that. In the case of Japan, when the nuclear power plants have exploded, people were in fear, and that's why the clear debate against with the existence of nuclear power plant did not go well, and people opposed the nuclear power plants just because they feel strong fear. And we believe to be independent from that kind of opinions, they should be independent from the majoritarian views and think about how the nuclear power plants works in a way with a comparison between the merits and demerits. We believe to be separated from these fears, we should not sometimes majority are harmful. So how that affect the election? Firstly, because like the people will be elected from judges elected from the majorities, like they have to like reflect the public opinion in order to get elected, and that's why if they got elected, they have to reflect what the public opinion. And when the public opinion are going wrong, like they will reflect that kind of ideology to the law system, and that's why we be extremely harmful. But third argument, why judges can choose in the best way in our paradigm. So we believe the people in the Supreme Court can chose to become judge with the hard work, and we believe they have strong virtue to reflect the laws and reflect and compare the rights of majority and minorities. We believe, and also the local judge is like approved from the Supreme Court judge, and we believe they share the same idea. So like those people, because they are tenure, like they don't have to care about the majoritarian views. They are independent, and they can pursue their virtue to be to reflect to compare the people's right and make the true justice true. Like because of that, we believe they can reflect the true justice in our paradigm. So for these reasons, we are very happy to oppose it.
I thank the leader's option. I'd call Deputy Prime Minister. Here.
The decision of the regional court in Japan, like because of her strong favoritism towards a female person, like the guy, and who is most likely to be acquitted, actually got sentenced, although they are not enough the evidences, but because the judges thought he was wrong. That's it. So the problem of the current situation is that the judges don't have the responsibility for their own decision, and there's no place for their voices to be contested. And this is the biggest problem, and we want to deal with. And the reason why the existence of the responsibility, and which will be under the contest of the people, is to is finally important to make the ideal idea of justice to happen in the society. This is a consistent line coming from the side of government, not really engaged by the opposition side. So basically, I will tell you two things in my speech. Number one, I will tell you I will address the issue of minority and how actually our paradigm has more possibility to make better and reasonable treatment towards minority compared to the opposition's paradigm. And number two, I'm going to further examine the relationship between the justice and majority, and why reasonable treatment towards majority is something reasonable, because under their paradigm it sounds like a tyranny of minority anyways, and all the battle is basically integrated. But before that, one single clarification. Alright, we are not talking about only the case of only Supreme Court. We are also includes the local or the appeal court in the first place. So we are not talking about how actually the law should be processed in actually the Supreme Court decision, but also we are talking about the more the lower cases in the the regional court or the appeal court. This is the clarification I made, although it doesn't make a huge difference. So first thing about the issue of minority. So the fundamental assumption of their side of the house was that because we preserve the idea of equality and everyone will be treated equally, we do not think so, as I already pointed out through a POI. Because the opposition's paradigm is just a randomized equality, meaning their personal idea, their conservatism or their liberal leaning is not contested under the current paradigm. That's why I told you, even in this quarters, there are some conservative judges and liberal judges. And and because they have the ability to incorporate their personal thought in the decision-making process, we do not think opposition's paradigm is no better than our paradigm, as long as the individual has the ability to include their own personal the personal creed in the decision-making process. But like the beauty of our paradigm is really simple. Those decision-making process of the judges, they will be contested under the civic view. And why we think this is better? Precisely because through the process of the civic scrutiny and those kind of decision-making process is getting more rational and more reasonable. Why is that so? Because especially for the election towards judges and the people not only seeing their personal creed but also their capability as they are judged, because they don't want to have some dumb people as they are judged, because one day and you're going to be judged by those people, especially in the case of the regional courts, and even if you make some how to call that, some crime, and you have possibility to be treated by them, or your possibility to given the decision by those judges. This is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, especially the election towards judges, and we have a certain possibility for the rational scrutiny from the people on the ground. So through these processes, some really populistic opinion without any rationale has a possibility, or has a more possibility being scrutinized by the civic scrutiny, because those kind of the random voices, they will be the one and you might get if you make a crime. So this is the reason why we think, ladies and gentlemen, those rational scrutiny has a possibility to happen compared to the opposition's paradigm, because the opposition's paradigm doesn't doesn't have any treatment towards those personal creed, and the judges have absolute power to exert their own personal idea into the decision-making process. And moreover, ladies and gentlemen, opposition's idea is really, really unrealistic in the first place. Because number one, oppositions just say how actually the people, the tyranny of majority will happen, and even fundamental rights of the minority will be neglected. It's completely against the principle of the constitutional equality in the first place. And the ability of the judges to exert law is within the constitutional agreement. Meaning, the fundamental rights of minorities will never be infringed, because it's against the constitution. It's really simple logic in the first place. Moreover, ladies and gentlemen, the voice of minority as the decision which is favorable towards minority has a possibility to be welcomed in our side of the house, precisely because, ladies and gentlemen, the judge's voice should be thoroughly scrutinized under our paradigm. So that if the voice of minority has a certain a rationality, and those kind of the rationale will be highlighted in the election process, let's say debating, or let's say they're making their own agenda as they are judges. So this is why, ladies and gentlemen, as the process, those minority voices is highly likely to be highlighted and more likely to be respected under our paradigm, because opposition side, those kind of idea is just in the hindsight and never be spotlighted. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the minority protection, at least our paradigm has a more possibility to be highlighted and to be seen and to be respected. So, alright, so on the second issue about the relationship between the justice and majority. Ladies and gentlemen, as I already told you in the first argument, minorities' right is basically preserved even in the current paradigm. So that's why, ladies and gentlemen, we introduced the constitution and we institute those kind of the unconstitutional treatment towards minority has been abolished in the case of the Brown versus Board of Education, let's say. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are particularly talking about a law protection within the constitutional issues, and we think to this within these processes the respecting majority is basically a reasonable idea, as we already told you in the first speaker's argument, because the justice is a fundamental mechanism to make the society more ideal place and better place that everyone want to live in. This is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, we think the decisions or anything the favorable towards majority within the constitutional equality is completely reasonable idea, or rather the idea that's a welcome. For all those reasons, we're immensely proud to propose.
I thank the Deputy Prime Minister. Now let's call the Deputy Leader's opposition. Hear, hear.
I really regret that another Tomoya told us that rational scrutiny can work if the citizens' vote are fully ensured. We really doubt that. We think that rational scrutiny cannot happen in a voting system. We believe that it's actually the citizen vote for our citizens who actually thinks the best interest for themselves, actually not the scrutiny for the public interest and as well as the rights of individuals, although it's fairly calculated based on the harms and also the rights of people and so on. We think it's really justice when the citizen thinks that gays should be criminalized. It's really justice when the citizen thinks Muslims should not be entitled to come into my country. It's really justice when citizens think Jews are okay to be sent to concentration camp. We think these are things that are historically proven it was injustice. We really doubt that citizens actually have a very, not actually the best after to think what is a justice or not. We believe that justice is actually the things that are fairly up there. Rights are actually fairly calculated and based on a fair comparison. We believe that it can actually happen in a citizen vote, and we think that judges who have no possibility to be fired, who have no backlash, who are no countered by any kind of party in society, is the best actor who can fairly think without any bias what is the justice or not in a society. That is our stance, the one to contend for. So what we stand for, what we are okay and what we are not okay, we believe that we are okay that judges we are okay that judges are not actually backlash in any other kinds of political or the citizens' voices. We think the Kenyan system is the best because the judges are not actually fired at all. They pointed out that the certain idea, or the judge's idea, some of conservative should be challenged. We believe this idea actually not actually is okay not to be challenged because we believe that if those public voices are not entered, we believe those personal opinions can be entered truly. How the personal opinion is the better without that. We believe that actually these people are just actually entitled and based as also they pointed out that judges should actually sound licenses. We think that in that case, just compare with a huge calculation of the evidence and also laws and precedents. They compare what's the best life representation. In those cases, we think if the public opinion comes into here, we read these opinion, these choices and comparison actually that are distorted in some ways. We believe it's actually sober. So what is the equal judicial decision? We think the decision, equal decision, we read is a decision based on a fair comparison. So actually, the citizen's opinion, because we calculate citizen's opinion is not actually social justice in most cases. So in that case, no, thank you. We think they pointed out there are actually liberal and conservative judges. We think it's the best paradigm we can have as a best decision. How? We really, even if there was a conservative judges, for example, they will also try to equally evaluate the life without public bias. For example, in case of abortion, we believe the conservative judges can represent the life of unborn baby and judge with the comparison of women's lives, and unborn baby's lives are actually more prioritized than the woman's life. We believe also a legitimate opinion to defend her. We believe if the citizens decide, those choices based on religious views, for example, and the citizens may think that this woman should not have life to say anything, or the woman's life should not be considered at all. This is not actually a fair comparison only. We think conservative judges in the board can actually fairly compare without any religious bias or without any political bias, can think what is the life allocation or not. So we think that the citizens' political influence on decision is actually a bad idea, and we have to oppose that. Yes, Yonasan?
Alright, so if you think your paradigm is completely perfect in preserving minorities' rights, why even in your paradigm, in lots of countries, gay marriage is still legalized?
We are not saying that our system is perfect. This debate is about comparison, and we believe that actually a lot of court cases actually follow that gay marriage should be legalized and so on. And we believe that it's actually in almost every country these cases are in fight. So you don't have to care about it. So and they pointed out that Yonasan pointed out that minorities' rights can be protected in their paradigm. And then the only reason they point out is that there is a constitution. But actually, the constitution is not actually the best perfect system to protect minority just by existence. Even the constitution does not explicitly define which minority rights should be protected, which is a minority, for example. The constitution just says that certain minority rights should be protected. What judges do is that what is the definition of minority in the first place? For example, gays are minority and should be protected. They also define what is the definition of marriage, for example, and they interact those constitution in certain ways. That is the role of judges. Therefore, just by constitution, we cannot actually protect those minorities, right? So, and then they also pointed out that the judges are also capable to decide any kind of thing. And actually, if the tenure system is introduced, and they pointed out that they stick to the consultative idea because bar exam is actually so old. It's not true. What the bar exam asks the judges, asks for the judges candidate is the knowledge about law and knowledge about precedent. And they do not actually ask what is the right decision in certain cases. Any kinds of bar exam, as well as the government or public sphere, does not interfere what is the right decision or not, just independently decide what is the right or not in certain specific cases. Therefore, we believe that actually, if they have knowledge about law and precedent, we believe the judge doesn't have to stick to the old idea because it's not required in an exam system, and actually no incentive to stick to those things. So what we want to say to you is that there should be no political influence or public influence in the justice system and the judicial system for the judicial neutrality. But the judicial neutrality is protected. We think it results in the protection of the minority rights. The context we have is that there is a huge majoritarianism in the political sphere where majority can decide everything, even if it's injustice. We think the citizen opinion and citizen rights should be limited to some extent in order to protect certain minority rights and certain rights. We wish that those rights to the minority, rights to neutral minority rights to those certain states, party and society should be guaranteed in our sphere in contrast and counter against those political power by majority. That is our stance. That's why we defend opposition.
I thank the deputy's option. Now I'll call the government. Here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What the opposition side talking about is not the failure of the court. It's simply the failure of the law system or the failure of the majorities, the voices. On that occasion, even the parliament, the judges also care about the framework of the law, the framework of the constitution. And that's simply necessary, on that occasion, necessary to the issue to compare with the citizens' voices and just the judges, the individual preference, the individual the values, which is beneficial for the guarantee the justice and the guarantee the justice and something that the equality of the law. So that's the government side. So in my speech, I mentioned the 2 points to talk about. The first is about who should be the decision maker of justice, whether the judges or the citizens. And second of all, which paradigm as a consequence, what kind of decision making we can see, which paradigm we can guarantee the equality and justice. So all refutation included in my speech. So, moving on the first issue, the who should be the decision maker, those kind of things. So, they talking about that because of the citizens, the infringement to the minorities, and also that the citizens sometimes necessary to the infringement the minority or those kind of things. But those kind of things, that's not true. Because that's, even still under our paradigm, that the judges still make that decision in the framework of the law and in framework of the constitution. On that occasion, even our paradigm, we can do not making that extreme infringement of minorities right. Moreover, we say that simply those kind of infringements occur. It's simply simply the fault of that law, because that's even their paradigm, but still really necessary to reflect that the citizens' voices for that making the law. On that occasion, still law that reflects the voice of the citizens, and we cannot see that if those kind of the majority that want to infringe that minority's voices, we cannot protect those kind of persons. But as my partner already told you that the majority do not have necessary to be the conservative idea, because they already open the idea to any kind of minority incentive to care about the minority, the understanding to that citizen voice. Moreover, if there is some kind of problem that exists, we are the citizen and happy to make a discussion with any other person. On that occasion, it's not making that the citizen should be the conservative or those kind of idea. And second of all, so we are not talking about just the election that directly reflects all kind of voice of citizens. We just citizen choosing the manifest or the candidate. For example, if already we talking about the judges, they have certain past examination and they have certain the legal mind. For example, they care about evidence, care about the constitution. On that occasion, we see that the two kind of consequences. The first of all, that kind of any kind of manifest that makes based on those kind of legal framework or legal mind, because for example they necessary to care about the constitution, or we do not making that extremely unfair manifest, because those kind of every judges have already have those kind of legal minding and those kind of the care about that. That's the fairness of those kind of things. And second of all, because also the majority or those kind of manifests done by those kind of based on the legal framework, the citizen also recognize that those kind of importance or the legal mind or the importance or the evidence or the fairness of those kind of things. So what I think is we do not see even in our paradigm we can also achieve that fairness or fairness and also those kind of things. The judges can certain capacity to just protect the minority. So, but what kind of thing we are want to talking about that? This is just a comparison, because the judges also still have the individual preference, the individual some kind of the individual like that. The value of those kind of things. Based on the legal even that it is based on the legal framework, still the individual is binded by those kind of the ideology. On that occasion, which is better for just randomizing the individual opinion to reflect in the society, or after that the social discourse and reflect the majority voices, which is more suitable to the society. We believe that the majority voice is so important. Why that's so? Basically, two reasons. The first is about the diverse opinion we can gather from the society. Because we just not talking about the few number of people can be the judges, for example, the 10 or the 12 number of people can be becoming the judges. But on the other side, in a paradigm, because of the open idea to the society, that we can gather many kind of the value, the difference from the society. Moreover, we also gather those kind of things. So on the occasion, we necessary we have to prefer those kind of the diversity or the opinion, but even we want to protect the minority. So moreover, secondly, because of the diversity because of reflection of the opinion, as my partner already told you that the law is crucially necessary to reflect that opinion from society, because the law is the thing that which making what kind of society they want to live or those kind of things. On that occasion, because of the directionality, we necessary to prefer the citizens' opinion. So, okay, so let's move on the occasion really necessary to, for that, because of the diversity and because of that directionality, really necessary to prefer that voice of the citizens. Okay, so moving on to the second point, which paradigm we can guarantee that equality and justice. So they're talking about the interpretation is that really important or those kind of things. But in your already see that in your paradigm, the law and constitution already to some extent that define that what is a minority, or who is a suffer from, or what kind of person they necessary to protect. Because we also the based on the law is based on some kind of international treaty, or also care about the international relationship, and that's also necessary to define those kind of the definition of the law, or those kind of things. On that occasion, through the process of the law, to some extent, we also already reflect make the interpretation, already define to some extent that the definition of the minority, or those kind of things. On that occasion, we also see that protecting the fairness or the equality. That's the reason why we propose this motion. Thank you.
I thank the whip, now call the option whip here.
So governments today are standing on the very fluffy concept justice. But the justice that they are talking about is not actually not justice at all. Because that was the absolute prioritization of the sense of comfortableness for the majority, right? But the justice actually should be given to every kind of human being because they are like human as well. So equality is something that can be provided for the majority and minority, for both of people, and our paradigm is better providing this kind of equality for everybody. So as a speaker from the opposition, I talk about the three things in my speech. So first I will talk about the justice, and second I will talk about the comparison between the paradigm and our paradigm, what kind of judgment can be provided, and in their paradigm. And earlier I talked about even that majority's opinion is that important as the government say, still we believe this motion is false. So for one by one. Firstly about the justice. So they say that because the perception of the society changes time by time, it should be changing spontaneously. However, we do not think so because uncomfortableness of the majority and illegalness is completely different thing. But sometimes we know that to draw the line between uncomfortableness and illegalness is totally difficult for up to them. But that is the reason why the thorough evaluation by the profession people who can concentrate on it by literally spending sacrificing their lifetime is really necessary for that. So what kind of people should be what kind of judges should be there for us really. So it will be my second and again comparison between the two. So firstly, thank you about that thing that whether or not they can be contested by some kind of people, right? So they say that in our paradigm, the judges will never be contested, so their ability or quality is so doubted. However, we do not think so because in our paradigm, the judges cannot play around, right? Because they are in their job feeling, they are contested by the other judges, in the discussion, right? Because they must persuade the other judges, and they must reach to the most favorable or fairest judgment that they can make at that time being. So every judge that tried their hardest and tried doing the right for that time being, so that's what they're doing. And also they contested by the public opinion is far worse than contested by the other judges, right? Because first of all, as we already mentioned, that the judges who is elected are more likely to be catered for the public opinion, right? So the public opinion sometimes cater to something that is on their own interest. For example, own interest or things that they are interested in. For example, that more heavier punishment for the juvenile delinquency. And if that is going on and on, that will be intervening towards the children's right, those kind of things, right? And we also think that changes the public opinion too. No, thank you. For example, nuclear power plant issue, whether it is legal, illegal, those kind of things can be changed by mass media. This kind of sway by those kind of public opinion can be reflected upon the judges who is elected on their paradigm, right? So we believe that is the reason why their paradigm cannot provide that those kind of like qualified judges will be contested. And and secondly, about what kind of interest should be reflected on that. We say that equality for everybody is important, no thank you. However, like basic equality is also can be provided under their paradigm. The reason why they provide is because equality is okay as long as it is in constitution. However, it is not true because the things are more complicated. Because the right of minority is on the constitution and right of the majority is also on the constitution, right? And the things is the comparison between the minorities' right and the majorities' right? And the things the judges always must do is the comparison between the two and comparison between which should be prioritized in that time being. Those kind of things can be like should not be like diverse in like from the last election towards the next election. Those kind of like basis or the comparison, those kind of criteria should not be spontaneous changes by the like rampantly happened event at all. And yes.
Alright, if the system of justice is a technical judgment with the absence of civic sense of justice, why do we have jury system in the first place?
So the jury system is something that balances out the public opinion, the judge's professional opinion, and that things can be happen in a society if the society wants it. However, the balancing out is that the election is the last thing that we should allow because it is complete allowing the citizens to have the control over the juridical system, and we do not want that. And the last thing about it, even if the majority's opinion is that important, still we believe that this motion is false. The reason why is that the juridical system is the last thing that is existing for the minorities, right? And after, for example, the politicians or those kind of like socialists, those kind of people, after those kind of people actually leave the minority, the juridical people, the judges can lastly, therefore the minority when the others leave them, right? Because the juries professionally concentrate on the comparison between everybody's right, and so if the things that they're doing in lifetime is concentrating on equalizing the others, the minorities and majorities, right? They believe the juridical system is the last person who is there for us, apart from the public opinion, which can change time by time. And also we believe the politician, unlike the politician, judge's opinion should not that radically different from person to person. So because if there is a concept, for example, that fairness exists, the opinion of the judges should not be radically different from person to person, right? So and in a politician, socialist standards can exist and radicalist Donald Trump can exist at the same time. However, the judges should not be so different. However, if we take the election, the judge's opinion is catered to be standing out and can be conspicuous opinion to get the attention from the public opinion, right? So extremely strict for gender democracy or extremely catered for favorable for women's rights. Those kind of judges can be there for getting the votes from the public, getting attention from the public. And we not want those kind of situation happening by taking this motion and allowing the citizens to have control over the juridical system. That is why we are probably oppose this motion. Thank you.
I thank the option whip. Now let's call the option reply speaker. Here.
not saying that citizens' opinion actually truly, but we are saying that dominance majority and a system that allows the majority to dominate in judicial sphere is actually bad. And we also say that judges. We also regret systems where judges have to always hear what the public demands. So we think these external bias and external influence should be kicked out in the judicial sphere. We believe that actually it is okay, those citizen majority opinion can be heard in political sphere. We think that their rights are fully ensured in the political sphere already. But we believe the judicial sphere actually different to those political sphere. We believe the judicial sphere and the court system are actually the things that protects the minority in order to counter against the majority dominance. We believe that the court unique role is to protect those minorities, right? In that case, if they allow those majority dominance by those voting system, we will actually extending those majority rights, even in judicial sphere, it's the safety for those minorities, right? By the constitutional interpretation, we will that's actually too bad. And we think in order to defend those minority rights, we believe that the voting system should be kept out in judicial sphere. So we believe that they pointed out majority in voting system, diverse opinion can be heard. It's totally not true. We think that the opinion by the most people in number are actually heard. We think that the most number of people can actually vote for a seat in a court, and we think that the court decision actually decided by the vote in the court. Therefore, we think that if the majority can have majority people can actually have a seat in the court, majority seat in the court, we think decision will be that seat, will be based on the majority opinion. We think that actually those things are actually not protected. The current system we have is that the politically appointed and with continuous system judges actually appointed, where liberal and conservative people are both exist halfway and with fairly exist. And within the fairly calculation and also fair discussion in there, without any current political and current public voices, they can actually fairly decide. By those having both numbers and having both diverse judges already existing, we think that's actually bad. They point out check and balance doesn't happen in court system if the citizen can actually check those things. Well, we think the political appointed things, appointed judges are already allocated, and diverse opinion already exists in certain extent. We will certain going to certain radical way does not happen in any way. So the Yoruba-san pointed out, so why we have jury system in the first place, citizen opinion should be opposed. Well, to clarify, we are not saying that citizen opinion is actually too bad. We are going to hear those citizen opinions to some extent. But what the jury system is actually to collect those citizens from a diverse socio-economic groups. Like every kind of socio-economic group can actually exist in those jury system, or those actually appointed with those balancing out policy. And also, even if that's not true, it's not actually not exist in the Supreme Court, where the constitutional interpretation happens. The most important fair judicial decision actually fairly decided by judges who actually have no external influence at all. Within those, the Supreme Court exists as the most important court within that system can fairly exist. So we really actually the current context we have is that there was a huge majoritarian dominance which influenced the certain minority rights, whereas juvenile rights are so radically deprived by the demand by citizen opinion for harsher punishment, and also gays and certain Muslim rights are trying to be challenged by the majority opinion in the political sphere. The last resort and last safety net with the court and judicial system should not be influenced by public, so that we can fairly balance out the right of majority and minority and fair discussion in that. Within the equal decision can be fairly decided based on without bias by citizen demand and current demand. That's why we beg to oppose. Thank you.
I thank the option fly speaker. Now it goes on fly speaker to conclude this round. Here.
Opposition side kept trying to beautify the current situation, not necessarily telling us why. They say the equality is something really beautiful and it can only happen in their side of the house, not necessarily telling why. They told you there will be some absence of biases, Not really. We kept talking to you how actually personal prevalence is just randomized, not taken into account. Without, it doesn't mean the existence of absence. We've told you how actually the minority voices is well evaluated, although not necessarily telling us why. If they're talking about some clear definition of some minorities and which enable judges to evaluate what is a reasonable treatment under the equality of law, why doesn't it happen in our paradigm? Ladies and gentlemen, opposition says just tracing the partial reality and try to make it everything without any reasons why. This is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, there will be nothing coming from the side of opposition. And I'm going to further prove to you with the two metrics to assess the debate. Number one, the idea of justice. Number two, what this policy brings to us. So, justice. Ladies and gentlemen, we kept talking to you. Justice is a framework to make our society the place that everyone wants to live. And to this argument, what opposition side said was equality under the law. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't really get that because opposition side, on the other hand, opposition side kept telling us, yeah, it's okay for the civic voice to exist in even the justice system. So if they're talking about complete equality under the law, what is the point to welcome civic voices? There might be bias according to their arguments, but they welcome that. So, ladies and gentlemen, the fundamental argument coming from opposition side based on nothing, or if it has some inconsistency between the equality under the law and the existence of civic voice. So, based on that, I don't really get any argument coming from opposition side because it stands without a fundamental value coming from the side of opposition. This is the reason why we can say our policy is more beautiful and more reasonable, at least in terms of consistency. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, we can say, given that the existence of jury system and given that the existence of actually implementing a law or whatever, and we can conclude the ultimate purpose of the law system, including justice, is to make sure the society is the preferable place for everyone. Based on that, examine what this policy brings to us. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we've told you is really, really simple. Number one, the much bigger achievement of the principle of law, and we can achieve a better treatment for most of us in the society, and whereas not really infringing the voice of the minority, as long as the concept of equality, which is ensured by the Constitution, is still there. And we've already told you in the second layers of benefit, those kind of the judge's voice or the judge's decision will be much more responsible compared to our paradigm because ultimately it's going to be scrutinized, to which point no response from the side of our. And on the other hand, what upside just told you, a better treatment towards minority. Why? We've already told you that having opposition's paradigm does not necessarily mean absence of any personal feeling or the personal preferences. This is why we've told you there's some conservative judges and liberal judges. And as long as they have the existence of the personal preference into the decision-making process, and we can't simply conclude there will be equal treatment, equal respect towards everyone. As we already told you, gay marriage hasn't been legalized in many countries. This is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, we can't conclude the opposition's paradigm is way better than our paradigm. But on the other hand, we've told you lots of benefits, which is uniquely coming from the law system, which is uniquely coming from the system called election, responsible reflection of their voices, and the fair evaluation coming from the citizen on the ground, which is enough reason for the government side to win.
I thank the reply speaker, and all this is over. Now please proceed to making your decisions. Thank you for watching.